Everything you've been told is a lie. All of this comes from real law books, real president, real customs, real ancient laws, real oath systems. Everything what we do is real, right? The Constitution is sovereign, not Parliament.
Welcome to episode 3 of Spiritual Wisdom Meets Constitutional Power, our 4-part miniseries delving into the intersection of spirituality, health, and constitutional rights. In episode 2, we explored the controversial realities of chemtrails, weather manipulation, and the ancient common law principles that offer us protection against these modern-day threats. If you haven't watched the previous episodes, we highly recommend starting from the beginning to fully immerse yourself in this transformative journey. In today's episode, we're shifting our focus to the foundation of personal rights. What is the difference between a right and a privilege? How do these concepts tie back to ancient wisdom and the protections enshrined in common law? And why is understanding this distinction so crucial to reclaiming your sovereignty? Join us as we dive deep into these questions and more, uncovering the tools you need to stand firm in your power and protect your freedoms. This is more than just a conversation. It's a call to action for those seeking truth and deeper understanding in their lives. So whether you're here for inspiration, knowledge, or a new perspective, you're in the right place. In the event you don't know who he is, Graham Moore is a lifelong champion of individual rights and constitutional law, dedicating decades to upholding the principles of the English Constitution and the common law. As chairperson of the English Constitution Society, the English Constitution Party and English Exit, Graham has made it his mission to defend the sovereignty of the English people. His work resonates far beyond England, connecting principles of liberty to global movements for justice. One of Graham's landmark achievements was securing an injunction from the European Court of Human Rights to save the life of a 6-year-old child, standing firm against the British government in a case that exemplified his unwavering commitment to justice. Over his career, Graham has served as a Mackenzie friend, mentoring defendants and winning critical cases that have overturned convictions and exposed potential miscarriages of justice. Currently, Graham is at the forefront of major legal battles, including cases against the Metropolitan Police for alleged torture and ongoing high-profile appeals in the High Court. His courage in standing up for constitutional rights has not come without personal sacrifice. He has faced bans from social media platforms including Facebook and YouTube, set up by police and imprisoned, and even lost his job for standing by his principles. Through his Rumble channel and public advocacy, Graham's message is clear: the Constitution is the solution. His passion for sovereignty and individual liberty inspires countless people to stand up for their rights and embrace the principles that define a free and just society. So without any more delay, fetch a cuppa and let's get straight into episode 3 of this riveting mini-series. Spiritual Wisdom Meets Constitutional Power, the Power of Rights.
Okie dokie. Do you know what? Funny enough, because obviously we came straight on record. I didn't actually give you an introduction, but I don't think I need to give you an introduction. You've been on before, and I'd just like to thank you, first and foremost for coming on again and giving your time. I know you're busy. Graham does, if you guys don't know out there, which I'm sure you do, he does a daily show of an evening, the English Breakfast, which is wonderful. He's helped a lot of people. And
the Full English Show, it's called.
The Full English Show, sorry, on Rumble.
English Show. Yes, yeah.
We'll leave the links. So the links will be added to this video. But and he won't like to be called a constitutional expert because he's a humble man. So I shall just say that he's been studying the Constitution, which I believe would make him a constitutional scholar because he's been at it for 30 years. So he's certainly got more experience than most, and that's been recognised in the High Court too. But anyway, Graham, right. Can I ask you, sir? And the reason I ask, because I did a presentation on this with the lovely Rachel from Colchester Council Watch. I did an hour thesis on rights and what they are. And I just think it's nice to have you on with someone with your credentials and your experience to speak to our audience about rights. I'm just going to ask you, Graham, what are rights? What are rights? Because let's be honest, and this is, I'm going back to my pub experience where I was having to deal with some empty vessels, certainly a woman cackling in the corner because I couldn't break through her programming. So her natural reaction when I spoke about incremental communism, that the Eastern Europeans in this country recognised it during COVID because they've experienced it before. But it's been part of the manifesto for 100 plus years. It's been brought in incrementally here, as David Icke would say, the totalitarian tiptoe. Yeah. She couldn't cope with that. So she would just cackle, heckle, and behave like a moron in the corner. But a couple of my pals that do have an open mind were all ears. Now, with regards to rights, the reason I bring that up, because I also discuss rights just to see where they were, because one of my pals I've not seen in 5+ years. So you gauge how awake they are. Do you know what I mean? Without getting too deep and just blowing their minds or them just switching off. So the discussion with rights, let's be honest, the everyday Joe has no idea what a right is, let alone the fact that they have them or how to enforce them. So this is why I put to you, sir, and I'll give you back the platform. What is a right?
A right, so it's easier to compare two different things, right? There's something called a right, and there's something called a privilege, right? So if I invite you into my house, for example, you haven't got a right to be there. Under common law, an Englishman's home is his castle, right? That is termed as a privilege. And I can terminate that privilege at any time by asking you to leave. And if you don't leave, you are then trespassing, right? Which is a common law offence. So, and obviously there's other elements to it. So what is a right? A right is a God-given right. No one can take it away from you. It is inalienable, right? What I am going to do is show you something else. And I was recently at an event giving a lecture. It was supposed to last a couple of hours. It was a great audience, live in Edmonton. And it lasted about 5 hours in the end. And people was all saying to me, I can't believe that you can stand there and talk for 5 hours. And I said, it's not that, it's the engagement with people. And people ask really good questions. And funny enough, there's quite a few Polish people there, right? They absolutely agreed with me, right? But someone come up and give me a book, right, that they had designed, right, The Judgment of Kingdoms and Nations by John Summers. John Summers was the drafter, right, of the Bill of Rights, the Declaration of Rights, and was one of the individuals involved with the Glorious Revolution as a legal professional, right? The reason I'm showing you this book is because it was actually created by a stand in the park, right? So if anyone out there knows what stand in the parks are, right? Stand in the parks was all the groups of people that started coming together to start saying, we're not having any of this, right? With what the government's doing with lockdowns, etc. And I used to go around the stand in the parks and give talks, and I could see the Marxist infiltration of stand in the parks, right?
Wow, really? What? Just individuals coming along and trying to cause discord amongst the crowd.
Yeah. Well, they weren't showing discord. They was promoting Strawman, free man of the land. They weren't talking about the Constitution. They was coming out with fanciful ideas of what the law is, but because they could actually speak, you know, they could communicate their views, the crowds was listening. And I believe that is all part of what they're doing. They're sowing confusion, right? And I'm not having
deviating from the real law, aren't they?
Yeah, they're deviating from it and basically causing a problem. But just to make sure, I'll put this out there. That was a stand in the park. It was called Hyams Park, or it's called Hyams Park in East London, right? So they've got this book, and they've basically taken the words of Lord John Summers and they've paragraphed it all out in this book. This is one of the best I've seen. They've done this and created this book. The book, The Judgment of Kingdoms and Nations, it is basically a real book by Lord John Summers, right? Again, he was 1651 to 1716, right? And who he is, and he was the Lord Keeper of the Great Seal of England. He was the Attorney General. He was also the Solicitor General. He was Lord Chancellor. Every serious legal position of state he held, right? And he was also the framer or the drafter of the Declaration of Rights and the Bill of Rights, right? So it's his authority, right? So just to make sure people understand that, the reason I'm showing you this is because in that book, he makes some very clear. I might be able to read a couple of them out to you if I can find them again.
Where can we get that book, Graham? Because a lot of people, including myself, be interested in that. What was that called again?
It's called. So this is a special edition. You can buy it from Amazon, right? It's really important that people get this because if you really want to understand. But the person come up to me at that event and they said, "Chew Graham, I have learned so much from you." And then the lady literally gave me this book and said, "We've basically gone through it." So at that stand in the park and at many stand in the parks, people started to realise that the Constitution and all this other stuff people were saying, the Constitution was the most important thing, and it's what they're attacking, right? So just to make sure, I'll give you some of the quotes from him. Most people don't even realise. So just a sneak part of this, right? So this is some of the things that Lord John Summers said. Remember how great a man he was, right? Magna Carta is only a summary of our ancient laws and customs. The king that swears to it swears to them all, right? Got to understand that so we're going to get into public law and private law in a minute, right? The king has no prerogative that derogates from justice and equality. What does that mean? Well, he's telling you the king can't do anything that moves away from justice and equality, right? Which is why I keep saying to people, all these race relation laws just enforce the Constitution. And by the way, the Constitution doesn't mention race anywhere. It's why the English stopped slavery, not the British, right? And when people understand that, then another quote from him: "The kings can neither make nor change laws. They are under the law," right? Which again, our case that we're presenting in the High Court, Charlie Staples, which they're already doing everything in their power to shut us down, because under universal jurisdiction, where are we going to bring the case? Texas. Why? Because Texas, part of their state constitution is the English common law, right? So if they ignore us in this country, we'll bring it up in Texas, right? And by the way, the British have signed up to that. They can't stop us. And again, another quote: "The doctrine of absolute passive obedience is inconsistent with the goodness of God and the love he has for man. It destroys the purpose, intent, and design of God's laws, which are made to ensure man's happiness. Where there is no absolute authority, there can be no absolute obedience." Separation of powers, right? It's crucial that people understand it. So when these people say we haven't got separation of powers, we have. it is being subverted, and it's been subverted by Parliament and dark personalities. The last one, this is just from the front of the book, and these are all by Lord John Somers. He that lets any person destroy him, contrary to law, when it is in his power to preserve his life by defending himself, tacitly consents to his own death. By the laws of nature, he is obliged to defend his life. That's why we've got the right to self-defense. That's why we had the right to buy a certain product. Begins with I and ends with N, and they said was a horse dewormer, right? People need to understand that even having that in your possession, right, they class as an offence when it is a synthesized natural product that comes from mushrooms, right? And it was the opener, right? Or that it's one of the things that, and I know a lot of people at the moment who have taken it, it can't harm you, in quite large quantities with other stuff, right, to treat a certain condition that creates all funny lumps inside you, and you, right? So I don't want to trigger anyone to, you know, to get this taken down. But I'm telling everyone, and I say it to everyone, I say it to every speech, everything you've been told is a lie, right? And when you understand the people responsible in all these arenas, including the military-industrial complex, all they want is perpetual war. The pharmaceuticals, all they want is perpetual illness. It's all about a profit base, right? And so look at the judiciary. All they want is perpetual crime. That's why they create all these laws. That's why they, you know, you can't even, if you walk out your house picking your nose, they're going to arrest you for it, right? And the reason is because it's a business. Prisons are a business, one of the worst types of businesses out there, right? In incarcerating people. I'm not suggesting that bad people shouldn't be incarcerated, right? But what I'm saying is it's being done for a different reason than what they're telling you. It's all about profit. And it's the state taking back control. But let me go back to this because it's quite important. So on our leaflets that we give out, and again, so we've got the English Constitution Society, which I'm president. That's an educational society. It's also being registered as a charity, but all we're doing is educating people about the Constitution. That means more and more people like me will be going around the country doing seminars and saying this is what the law says, right? Very similar to another thing. Let me just show you this, right? It is important.
Which is important, by the way. You're doing the seminars because you're spreading awareness, because they've largely hidden this from us, haven't they?
Yeah, by design. So again, you've hit the nail on the head, Damian. Let me just make sure people are aware of this. From a military strategy point of view, if you want to attack a group of people or a country, right? What is the first thing that you do as a military strategist, right? The first thing you do is you take out whatever it is that can harm your forces. So the first wave now, for example, is normally aircraft. So what do they take out? They take out all the ground-to-air facilities, right? And they'll send in directed weapons, take out all of their defense systems, right? And then it goes to the next stage and the next stage. So what have these people, dark triad, dark personality, the regime, whatever you want to describe them as, what have they done to us? What will you take out what you fear most? Strategically, that's what you have to do. What do they fear most? The Constitution. And that's what's been under attack since 1825. I mean, we can go back through all the laws and show you that. So you're right in what you're saying. If it wasn't powerful, they wouldn't have bothered. There's another book, right? The Hamlin Lectures is really important, right? John Laws, so Sir John Laws, metric martyr case, right? He's the one who said in the metric martyr case, that the Sunderland case, he's the one who told you there's a hierarchy of laws, right? And there it is, he says, the common law constitution. This was his lecture. He says the constitution is sovereign, not parliament, right? By the way, he died during COVID. So again, what I tell you and what I speak about isn't made up, right? Which a lot of these YouTube channels do. The reason I like this channel is because you actually use the real law, right? What I'm saying to you is all of this comes from real law books, real president, real customs, real ancient laws, real oath systems. Everything what we do is real, right? And this is one of the most respected recent judges. I wouldn't say he's on par with Lord Denning, but he comes close, right? Again, if you go and have a look for the Hamlin Trust, the very first lecture at the Hamlin Trust, which is all recorded, and I've got it here somewhere, right? And it comes in PDF form if you want it. You'd have to get it from Exeter University, right? Guess who did that lecture? Lord Denning. What was it about? The common law and your rights, from Lord Denning, right? So again, when you look at our leaflets, which many people out there shy away because they see the English flag, right? And what we say to people is, England, and your ancestors give you this right. Pre-existing the British Union. The Union is how they've attacked your rights, right? So you shouldn't be unionists. But in the middle of this document, right, it tells you what, by the way, you've got a lot more rights than this. Common law rights are extensive, right? But if I just run through them, you'll understand what it is. And I went through this when I was at the Edmonton, I don't know what they call it as, seminar, lecture, etc., right? So at the top it says, let me just make sure people can see this, right? There's our leaflets, right? So it says, below are the common law constitutional rights belonging to the English, right? And then it says at the bottom there, above are the common law constitutional rights removed by the British establishment, right? So you need to understand that you're being attacked by a unionist parliament because they have given themselves authority, and then they've subverted the English constitution and the Scottish constitution, I may add, right? But I'm not here to talk about Scotland. I've got no problem with Scotland, right? Or the Scots. But let's go for the, so I've written down 19, right? And there's many more, right? The right of the realm of England and its subjects to defend themselves. Now, you just read a quote from Lord John Somers, right? Where he talks about defence, right? For you not to defend yourself, you're in tacit agreement with being murdered. That is the equivalent under God's law of suicide, right? Which is an absolute sin, right? I could go into more, and especially with killing. Everyone should understand what I'm saying by this without me actually saying it and getting the channel taken down. But killing an innocent, right, is absolutely forbidden, right? It is the ultimate sin. It is literally Satanism, right? Killing an innocent, right? People need to understand that you're playing with something that you shouldn't be playing with. What I mean is good and evil. You have a right to a jury, which is why they are now considered that they are literally at the later stages of abolishing the jury system altogether in this country. You'll only ever have tribunal judges, people who are trained by the state, administrative law, not the common law. And you will have none of them protections, right? The right to remain silent. In the 80s, I believe it was, they changed the caution that police constables give you if they made an arrest, right? That is unlawful. You have an absolute right to the right to silence. It is for the state to prosecute you. And part of that caution states anything you say may be used against you, right? And then they changed it to may be used against you. And if you don't say now what you later rely on in court, right? You can sit in the dock and say absolutely nothing. Complete silence, right? I would only do that if I had a jury. And I would only do that if I explained to the jury, by defending myself, I have the right to do this. There is no evidence whatsoever. Blah, 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 blah. Go back in. They call you in a witness box. Right? You don't do anything. You just sit in the box, right? Now, if that jury then finds you guilty, there's something wrong with that jury, right? Because they haven't listened to both sides. And if there isn't enough evidence coming from the prosecution, I mean real evidence, right? So you have a right to the jury. You have a right to remain silent. The right to govern ourselves via county, district, and parish councils. That's part of our ancient laws and customs. We should not be living under a centralised system. And the centralised system was created by the Union and is a stepping stone to the New World Order or globalism, right? And the only way you can deconstruct that is what certain groups of people out there are calling multipolar. Multipolar is another name for separation of powers. What did England originally have? Separation of powers. You could be, so I was on another channel and the guy was from Norfolk. He said to me, so what difference would it make if we governed ourselves in Norfolk as opposed to Essex? Well, I said, let's say that the governing bodies in Essex decided to put tax up by 90%, right? And that no one had freehold property. And everyone, all the businesses, all the money people, everyone upsticked and went to Norfolk because Norfolk said there's no income tax. There's no business tax in Norfolk. What do you think's going to happen to Norfolk? All the businessmen and everyone up there, especially if it's what I would describe as a county constitution, right? They would all flock there, right? Yeah. So the property prices in Norfolk would massively rise, right? People would be wealthy. People would be happy. The pubs would be rocking at the weekend where everyone's got money, right? What happens to Essex? Right?
It dies a death like every shopping, like every high street now.
Exactly. It's all the same. It's all the same. It's all related. And I can actually go through the strategy of what they did with the high streets, right?
It's managed decline, isn't it?
It's managed decline, and it particularly kicked in after the Second World War. Let me just make sure everyone's aware of this, right? Everyone needs to be aware. We lost the Second World War, right? We didn't lose to the Nazis. We lost against the USSR, right? We lost to communism, and communism had already taken hold in Nazi Germany, right? And when people understand what actually happened in Second World War, and by the way, there's people started to talk about it again now, you realise what's going on, right? Another one, let's just go through a few of these. The right to property freehold. Most people don't know that right was removed in 1998, I believe it was, with the Leasehold Act. What did that mean? Well, the Leasehold Act was quite simple. If you was a freeholder and leased your property to an incoming tenant, the Leasehold Act gave the right to the leaseholder to buy the place against your will.
Wow, I didn't know that.
You're the freeholder, right? Well, again, people don't, they've chipped, right?
And that wraps up part 3 of Spiritual Wisdom Meets Constitutional Power. Today we unraveled the difference between rights and privileges, explored the roots of our freedoms, and discovered why understanding these concepts is the key to reclaiming your sovereignty. But the journey doesn't end here. In part 4, the grand finale, we bring it all together, connecting the dots between nutrition, spirituality, and constitutional wisdom. We'll uncover how these elements shape not just our personal health, but the very fabric of society itself. You won't want to miss this powerful conclusion to our 4-part series. Join us next time for part 4, as we close this journey with clarity, purpose, and a vision for a stronger, more empowered future. Be sure to click the like and subscribe buttons so you don't miss these riveting episodes. Until then, take care and remember, the power is in your hands.
Do you find the legal system overwhelming and wish you had the knowledge and skill sets to control judges, persuade attorneys, and win your case? Well, look no further. Sovereign Empowerment is proud to announce our partnership with Dr. Frederick Graves so that we can bring you the Jurisdictionary Law course, How to Win in Court, your ultimate resource for mastering the courtroom. Unlock powerful case-winning strategies as you learn to control judges like never before. This comprehensive course eliminates guesswork and empowers you to navigate the legal landscape with absolute confidence. With step-by-step instructions, flowcharts, and outlines, you'll have all the tools you need to persuade and control judges in any case or court. Learn from a seasoned attorney with over 40 years of winning experience, who has distilled his expertise into this comprehensive program. Access everything you need in one single package, including sample forms, video seminars, audio clips, and in-depth case-winning classes. Learn at your own pace, anytime, anywhere. Our 24/7 online access allows you to tailor your learning experience to fit your schedule. Access the course on your smartphone, tablet, or computer and become a legal master whenever and wherever you want. Benefit from a suite of powerful tools, including a free online legal research tool, a legal dictionary with common sense definitions, and an exclusive Q&A forum to connect with fellow students and obtain expert guidance. Good people have suffered too long at the hands of power because they just didn't know how to fight back. Now, in a matter of just a few days, you can acquire the tools and knowledge that it takes law students years to achieve. Can't afford a lawyer? No problem. With the Jurisdictionary Law course, you'll gain the skills to win your case without expensive legal representation. Alternatively, equip your own legal console with the tools and tactics to fight effectively on your behalf. Level the playing field and secure your victory. No matter what court, civil or criminal, conquer any courtroom challenge with ease. This step-by-step guidance ensures a quick and straightforward learning experience, empowering you to navigate the legal system with bulletproof confidence. As a testament to your newfound legal expertise, you'll have the opportunity to complete a final exam and receive an honorary law degree upon successful completion of the course. Showcase your achievement and establish yourself as a force to be reckoned with in the legal arena. Dr. Graves believes everyone deserves access to legal knowledge. That's why we offer the Jurisdictionary Law course at an unbeatable price. For less than the cost of a 1-hour legal consultation, you'll gain unlimited access to this complete program for up to 2 full years. Take control of your legal battles without breaking the bank. How to Win in Court has become the most trusted law course worldwide since 1997. Don't miss out on this exclusive opportunity to gain the upper hand in the courtroom. Enroll in the official Jurisdictionary Law course today and unleash your legal power. Click the link in the description below to become legally empowered today.